Really hoping this will do for Indian audiences?
So firstly, thank you for having us here, IFFI. Fantastic audience, lovers of film. It's incredible. Everyone who's spoken about the Archies has had a personal anecdote. And it's as if on cue, like when I was young then. And when you're an awkward teenager, millennial, and you're growing up, and you're like, I don't need friends, I've got the Archies to turn to. So I think everyone has a personal story, which is why it's such a personal emotion, and I don't think it's just a franchise. At Netflix, we're fans of entertainment. So when you hear of John, Sharad, the Archies, and then you hear Zoya, Akhtar, and Reema, you're like, game on. We're doing this. We're going to be the first feature film in the world to adapt this as an IP, and which is why we don't just think this is a big moment for Netflix India. We think this is a big moment for India, where we get a global franchise, we localize it, and can't wait for you to watch it on the 7th of December. But Zoya and Reema actually kept the essence, they brought a uniqueness, and this is truly an Indian film that we were waiting to dish out, not just to India but to the world. And I think the dream that everyone at Netflix has is just taking local stories to the world. And we're so happy to kick that off with Zoya, Reema, Sharad, John, and our gang of the Archies. So just a feeling.
Zoya, Reema, can you talk about the writing process? So you said it was an easy yes and then you panicked. How did you find, and you said that the goal was to recreate the feeling that the comics made you feel, how they made you feel as kids, but to find that that sort of direction, what was that like? Was that easy to arrive at? Also because there's just so many stories, right? This has to be an establishing story. You have to introduce the characters, you have to create the world, but then it also needs to have a plot.
I mean, the first thing I think that led us was that, the brief was that we keep the characters. We don't, we needed them to be Archie and Veronica Lodge, Betty Cooper, and Reginald Mantle. So I think we needed to root them somewhere.
Yeah.
Once we found that, and obviously we needed a fit where even culturally it's not just the names,
right.
It's also culturally, So the Anglo-Indian community, it seemed to sit really well.
And the fact that so much of it is English, right?
Yeah, though in my head, Betty Cooper's Parsi, but we'll see. Yeah, but so it was about setting them in a community that also had the potential to retain what the original Archies had.
Right.
Because there is music, there's a kind of food, there was a bit, there were a little more, there was dating culture, there were a little more, the fashion, they were a little more westernized.
Yeah.
So it seemed to sit well, and once we got that, I think it was fun. But before that, it was stressful. Like, how bol diya, lekin ab kya kare?
Yeah, the same thing. We needed a million for it. We wanted to keep it. We knew that it had to be a period film because they've done a contemporary version and they've done it well and it's been hugely successful.
Yeah.
So it didn't make sense to do a repeat of that. So we were like, we should go back to what it meant to us and what the dream was. Go back to that dream, So it is an adaptation of a fictional place. So we are fictionalizing a fictional place. Okay, let's get that clear. How do we root it in India? And honestly, the two places that we did think of were either the hill stations with the Anglo community or Goa. Those were the two communities that had a real fit because there's a Christian base, so the names could remain, the culture, like she said, the food, the fashion, the westernization, the dances, the ease. There's a relaxed sense to it. And but Goa had been done many times on Indian screen and done very well. So we were like, this is new to explore. And if you look at the comic is very green.
Yes.
There's a lot of green, there's a freshness in that comic. So to be able to capture that, and we said, let's do, the hill stations like Makalski Ganj, Landor, where all this architecture exists and these worlds exist. Let's base it there. Once we had that, we were okay.
John, you have a personal connection with the Archies, of course. Tell me, what are you hoping this film will achieve in terms of sort of strengthening and perhaps taking the legacy forward?
Well, one of the things that